I think sometimes when we get a talk about something like sex trafficking, it seems not here, right? It seems like an elsewhere problem, a problem born out of a third world poverty, or it just seems somewhere else in the world. And so when you were talking about kind of the orphans of our society, do you? I don't know. Maybe that surprised me. Maybe I don't have a question in there. I'm just. I think my reaction is that surprises me. Maybe I'm embarrassed to say that surprises me. Do you feel like that is something that we did? You have a feel for how much that was feeding this issue in the United States prior to starting this?
No, I didn't have a clue. And the Lord had already given me a heart for orphans. I'd been to Africa. I'd been to different countries on missions trips, and so my heart was deep and wide for orphans. And I always thought orphans as little children over in other countries in orphanages, And James 1:27, it says true religion is to look after orphans and widows in their distress. And my husband and I actually, before learning about sex trafficking, had a plan to, raise our own children and then go over and help orphans in a different country. But really, when we learned about sex trafficking, what we learned is that we are oftentimes just ministering to orphans or widows in their distress, whether, as crazy as it sounds, leaving their pimp, the one who has trafficked them, as awful as it was, that was their provider, and so they have to grieve that loss. And they've had, family has failed, and so they're orphans and widows a lot of times. And so we are, in fact, still doing what that first call was in our lives. It looks a whole lot different than I expected it to.
So what is it, what is the experience like for a girl that comes into your care? Like, how is it a long-term placement? Is there counseling available? Like, what does that look like for them? How do they transition into a life that's different from where they came from?
Yeah, so essentially what we're asking her to do is come and heal with your buyers. We're the people on the outside. Everyone not in the life or the life of trafficking is potentially a buyer to her in her mind. So asking her to come and trust complete strangers is a pretty huge, the first huge miracle that happens in her life. After that, everything we do is individualized. People are all different. A lot of times the experiences are similar with the women that we've served. So the first thing we're doing is taking care of her medical needs. If you can imagine being raped for profit 10 to 20 times per day, a lot of times your body is pretty wrecked out. And so we're just meeting her immediate needs in the beginning. Oftentimes her documentation has been taken from her. Oftentimes she comes with only the clothes on her back. So we're just basically just giving her the things that she needs in the first 30 days or so. Everything after that is totally individualized based on her goals, based on her gifts, and based on the way God designed her heart and her personality and her interests. And so we take a holistic approach. We deal with the educational pieces, the life skills, and the training. But the biggest thing we really want her to come out of our home knowing is that there is a life, a hope of possibilities, and there is, and that exists through the person of Jesus, because all humans are limited. And so that's our hope, that when she leaves our home, that she knows there is a different way.